the whispering shadows. It was a quiet, unassuming house on the edge of town, one of those places you'd never give a second glance unless you were looking for it. For Emma, it was perfect. A fresh start, far from the noise of the city. She moved in on a rainy afternoon, the heavy clouds casting a dreary pall over the old farmhouse. From the moment she set foot inside, something felt off. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness, as though the house was holding its breath. The wooden floors creaked under her every step, and the old wallpaper peeled in places, exposing the rotting plaster behind it, but she shrugged it off. She was used to old houses, and the thought of a little renovation filled her with excitement rather than fear. That first night, she settled into the creaky upstairs bedroom, the rain tapping rhythmically on the window, but sleep didn't come easily. Strange sounds echoed through the house, faint whispers like voices just out of reach. Every time she thought she'd identified the source, it stopped. Emma tried to tell herself it was just the wind, the house settling. But as the night deepened, the whispers grew louder, more distinct, as if someone or something was just behind her, murmuring words she couldn't understand. The next morning, she found an old, dusty mirror tucked away in the attic. It was massive, with intricate carvings along the edges, but it had a cracked surface, as if it had been dropped long ago and hastily repaired. She dragged it downstairs, eager to hang it up in her living room. But as she gazed into its reflective surface, she felt a strange sensation, like something was watching her through it, not from behind, but from within. Her reflection was the same as always, but the air around the mirror felt colder. A faint shadow lingered in the corner of the glass, a shape that moved just out of the corner of her eye. When she blinked, it vanished. As days went by, the whispers grew unbearable. They followed her through every room, even outside in the garden. She couldn't escape them. And then she began to see things, shapes flickering in the corners of her vision, figures just out of reach, always watching, always waiting. Every time she turned her head, they were gone. One night, in a fit of desperation, she sat in front of the mirror, staring deep into its depths, trying to understand what was happening. The whispers were louder now, their words distorted, but there was a pattern. Her name repeated over and over, each time more urgent. Emma! She leaned closer to the glass, transfixed by the darkening figure that was now unmistakable in the mirror. A tall, thin shadow with hollow eyes and a mouth that stretched unnaturally wide. Emma! Her breath caught in her throat. The figure wasn't just in the mirror, it was behind her. She spun around, heart pounding, but there was nothing. The room was empty. Terrified, she ran upstairs to the attic and grabbed a crowbar. She had to get rid of the mirror. It was the only explanation, the only thing that could stop the whispers. She dragged it outside, into the rain, and smashed it against the ground. But the moment the glass shattered, the whispers stopped. For the first time in days, silence settled over the house. Emma breathed a sigh of relief, wiping the sweat from her brow. But as she turned to go back inside, she froze. Her reflection stood in the shattered pieces of glass, smiling at her. And behind her, a shadow moved.